Happy Monday, everyone, and happy Labor Day. Carmen Broxma here with Choose Joy with Carmen. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Arvada, Colorado, and back again today for another episode of my Mo Joy Monday. So, a few days ago, I had a new subscriber named Cheryl who had asked me if I had made a video on how to create the holder for the cards that I showed in this video. And I told her no, I had not done that, but that I would go ahead and do that in today's video. So thank you, Cheryl, for giving me the idea for today's video. Now, the cards that I made to go inside the holder that we are going to make today, I used these products right here. I used the Peaceful Moments so that I could get all the sentiments for the cards. And I used the Pretty Pillow Box dies, and I'm using this die right here. I also used the Time Worn Type 3D embossing folder, and then I used this designer series paper. This is from the, what's it called? The Perfectly Penciled. And as you know, with Stampin' Up! Paper packs, you get 2 sheets of each design. So what I love about this project is you can make 6 cards with one of the designs, and then you can take the other design and make the card holder. And so these are the cards that I created with that first piece of designer series paper. And what I did was I did the different sentiments, and I did that embossing folder here, made some strip, and I did some sponging and had my sentiments. I have a thank you, I have with deepest sympathy, I have 2 thinking of you, and then I have 2 happy birthday. I think that would just be such a great set of cards. And then on the inside, I just took the leftover piece of scrap paper when you cut up the designer series paper to put on the inside of my card as well. And I sponged around the outside of that also. And I think that's why I really love this project, because you are left with 0 designer series paper scraps. So I'm not going to show you how to actually make the cards because I did a video for that, and I will link it up here so that you can go back and watch how to make the cards. And today we are just going to show you how to make the holder for that card. So let me go ahead and gather the supplies I need, and we'll get started with making this holder. Okay, I had a little bit of technical difficulties. My camera kept falling down closer and closer and closer, which kept getting me out of the screen. So I had to stop everything and readjust my camera, and hopefully this is going to be better. But in the meantime, I was so distracted by what my camera was doing that I messed up the pattern paper that I wanted to do for these card sets. But we're going to start with a whole other new piece of paper. Even though it doesn't exactly match the cards, it matches it pretty close because, you know, the cards have, you know, leaves in them like this does. So we're going to go with it, right? And hope that I don't have any more technical difficulties. So we're going to do some scoring, and the key here is you got to determine which is going to be your top. So if you have a directional paper, so for example, if you have this paper here and you wanted to do, you need to make sure that you lay it on your Simply Scored in the direction that is directional for you. So I would lay it like this, and then I would start my first set of scorings. And then when we turn it counterclockwise, which is going to be this way, you got to make sure then the top of your directional paper is on the left side of your Simply Score tool. But I don't know that there's really a direction here, so it's just going to be a matter of what I like. So I You know, I guess I'll make that my top. And I will put all the score lines on the page here as I'm scoring, and then uh, I'll be speeding up the video so that you don't have to watch me do all the scoring in real time. So let's get started. Okay, all the scoring is done. So now you'll see at the bottom here, hopefully you can see, I'm going to try to get it in there. There's a score line that goes like this, and then one that comes down like this. But then there's also one right here that's going right through that little square. Well, we're going to take off the whole section, including that little piece of score line. We're going to take off that corner right there on both sides. Okay, now that we have that, now we're just going to go ahead and fold and burnish all of our score lines. Okay, so there we go. So all the score lines are done. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start doing the folding. And so the trick is here is you have two score lines right here in the middle. See those two right there? So when we focus on this section of folding up here, we're going to be focusing on this top score line right there. And when we focus on folding this bottom section, we're going to be focused on that bottom section. So let's get started with the bottom. So what we're going to do is on that bottom score line, we're going to kind of put either our fingernail right in that corner, right where the score line meets the edge. And putting our finger there like that, or you can use your bone folder, whatever it is, it helps you get that fold started. And we're gonna try to get this score line here, this bottom one, lined up with this edge. So that's why I put my finger in there to try to help me get that over there. And see, I don't know how I'm going to show that to you, but now that is, see if I can show it this way. See, it's lined up evenly like that. So then once you get that nice and even, you're going to kind of hold it on the inside there while you burnish that triangle. And hopefully you can see that. I'm kind of just burnishing that triangle, but then you can come back in with your bone folder and really make that crease. We're going to do that to all four corners. Again, focusing on the bottom score line as we fold this bottom section, and that top one as we fold that top. So let's go ahead and get that finished. Okay, so hopefully that made sense to you. So now we have everything nice and scored, and it's going to start to make this little pocket here. So now we're going to work from the inside. This is going to be the inside of our box. And we want to avoid putting glue, and this is where I messed up on the last one. We want to avoid putting glue here in this section and in that fold section and this section. Our focus is just going to be up into this area on all four corners. So let's go ahead and I'll do one here slowly. And so here's my little fold, right? And then I am just going to focus on that point right there with my glue coming down and coming all the way down, and then going to that score line that's on the side and just putting glue in this area like that. And then I'm going to turn it around. And before I fold it over, I'm going to focus on putting glue again in that same area. Making sure not to go over that score line. So you don't want to go over this score line or this score line. And you don't want to, you want to avoid glue in that area. So then what we do is when we fold it over, we can go ahead and glue that down. And if you want, you can take your bone folder and go ahead and make sure that's glued down. We're going to do the same thing to the other side. Okay, so now we're back. That's glued down. And see, when you start to fold it up, it creates that little pocket automatically on where we're going to put, oops, kind of folding there, and where we're going to put our cards, right? They're going to go in this pocket. So there's the start of our box. Isn't that cute? I love it. So now it's just a matter of decorating it and deciding how we want to keep it closed. Now you can do several things. You can just use a ribbon around it to close it. You can use a one of those Velcro dots and use that here, but I'm going to use a magnet. But first I'm going to go, because I thought this was really plain and I want to add a decorative border here. So I'm going to go die cut the piece that I want, and then I'll come back and show you what I used to die cut it, and then we will continue on finishing up this box. Okay, so when you make the cards and you cut the cardstock, you'll always have like an extra piece like this. And so I just grabbed one of them and cut it down to 6 inches. And then I went and grabbed I love the Basic Borders dies. And on the video that I linked earlier, I used this one. And then, you know, the kind of rounded one. And then on some other ones that I did, I used that kind of pointed one. But on this one, I want to use this design here. So what basically I did was, here it is. I took that little 6-piece, lined this up where I wanted it, and ran it through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And then that's what you get. So I went ahead and just, then what you do is you just bring it back to your flap, because we are going to glue it right up to that first score line there. And so what I do is I just kind of eyeball it to see if I like that look. And I thought, well, maybe that's a little too much. It's just depending on the look that you want. So what I'm going to do is probably just maybe cut off a little bit. I don't know how much. I just think that's hanging far too down. And then once I'm just going to cut off a little bit from this end right here. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue it to that inside flap right up to that first score line. So let me do that and I'll be right back. Okay, I am back. And basically all I did was cut off about a 1/2 inch from that edge to just get it a little closer and glued it on. And so now we need to decide, you know, what you're going to use for your closure. I'm going to use these magnets, and they're from Basic Gray, and I will put an affiliate link in my description of where I got them if you're interested. But what I like about them is they come with plus and minus signs so that you know that you need one of each. And they have adhesive on the back. And so let me go ahead and pop out, you know, one of each here. Then that way you know that which two work together to attach to each other. So then it's just a matter of determining where you want it. So I leave them together, and then I pull off one of the backings off the adhesive. Let's see if I can get that off of there without pulling the adhesive off. And then I decide where I want it on my flap here. And I go ahead and kind of eyeball it, or you can measure it, or whatever works for you, and plop it down like that. And then you can go ahead and remove the other backing off of here. And then when you flip that over, you can, before you actually push it down, make sure you've got it lined up the way you like it. And you could maybe what we should do is put the cards in first. So I have 6 white envelopes here, and I have my 6 cards. And what I like to do is rotate them so that all the bulk isn't in this corner. So let's do that. We've got that happy birthday there, and we'll go the opposite direction, and we'll just do this till we get the whole stack. And then we get our envelopes, and let's go ahead and plop them inside of our little pocket like so. Isn't that cute? And then now, and if you think you still need a little bit of stability, you could probably put a block in there just so that you can, but I don't think that would work, because then what's going to happen is not going to be the right size. So let's just do it this way. Let's just go ahead and be careful and make sure we have it, where, before we push it down, what it's going to look like closed, because you want that little, edge there to be even. And then I'm just going to go ahead and plop it down, put a little pressure there with my finger, and there we go. There's our magnet. Okay, so now I like to decorate this part. So all I did was I took the same die cut that I used for my cards, and I took out the charming sentiments, and I did just for you and die cut that out, put it in the middle. I also did the sponging around the edges like I did on the cards, and then I added some of the what were they, the matte black dots that are in the catalog, and I just put a big one there and 2 little ones there. And now let's just go ahead and put it on with some, I'm just going to take a snip of this Stampin' Dimensional here and decide where I'm going to put this so that I know. Probably going to put it somewhere like that. So I'll probably focus maybe some Stampin' Dimensionals on both the top and the bottom. And I'm just using the edges of what I have left over here. I can grab another one of these over here, because I always have leftover edges, and no need to let them go to waste. So I'll go ahead and put some of that on there as well, and then pull off the backing, and then we can go ahead and put this on our little box where we like it. Determine where you're going to want that, and I think that looks good right about there. Well, maybe I needed to move it over a little more. Okay, I think I need to view it from this angle because I can't see the metal very well. I think that should work. I'm looking at the camera to see if it looks okay. So there we go. So there we have it. I think that's even. I still don't think it's even. Well, I will pull that up. I will pull that up, and we will figure, kind of maybe use that bottom there to match up with the magnet. That might be the best way on this case. Let's see if that's any better. I think that looks better. All right. So there's our little box. And I think it turned out cute, even though I messed up the other designer paper. But the idea is to use both designs. But obviously you don't have to. You could just use another design that matches. Alrighty, there you go. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you guys are having a great Labor Day weekend. I've been inside here fighting with my camera, trying to create this video. But I hope that it was worth it for you all and that you will try to make this. And thank you for my new subscriber who suggested it. So, alrighty. And if you're not already a subscriber, you know what to do. You can subscribe and ring that notification bell. Then that way you'll know when I upload new videos. And if you like this video, a thumbs up would be greatly appreciated. And sharing it with your friends, and all that helps me out. Okay, well, enjoy the rest of your weekend for the holiday, and hope you have a great week, everyone. And we'll see you again next Monday for another episode of my Mojoy Monday. Bye-bye, everyone.